So now, as you all know, we've been following the Commitment of Traders reports for a while now, and there's some very unusual things that have been happening. And I just wanted to show you that for the insiders, I think that there's going to be one last dip in gold and silver, based on the commercials becoming net short again. But I also want to point something else out, that there's a great opportunity that appears to be happening right now. The total number of contracts has been shrinking. And this is very odd with what's been happening in the markets. You would expect people to be rushing back toward gold and for more contracts to be opened because the market is getting pretty scary. So you'd think that people would be rushing towards safe havens. But they're closing out more contracts than they're opening right now. And the commercials have gone net short. And between these two events happening, the commercials now represent more than 20% of the total open interest. And so this little blue part is 20% of the total open interest in gold. But one of the things I wanted to point out is that whenever we get down to these minimums, whether it's minimums in the open interest or minimums in this is the minimum in open interest, this is minimum in the net short position, these are great entry points, and you would have been able to ride gold from $1,050 up to $1,350. And you see again the open interest fall, and once it gets down to a minimum, and especially if you're paying attention also to the minimum in the net short position, this coincides with a minimum still here in the open interest, you would have been able to ride gold up again until you get to this peak in open interest. And there's been this big pullback. Yet the gold price is rising and the commercials are net short. I think there's going to be one last dip, one more buying opportunity. But then I really think it's going to be off to the races as the markets continue their crash. I think that this is the moment that I have been waiting for. This 2019 and 2020 are going to be the years where all of the work that I have been doing since 2002 finally really pays off in a big way. I mean, I made some enormous gains back during the bull market in gold from 2002 all the way to 2011. But it's been difficult. It's taken a lot of patience to get through this mid-cycle correction. And that's all that this bear market from 2011 has been, is just a mid-cycle correction. Now we're going to move on to silver, and the commercials being long silver here and the non-commercials being net short. As I've pointed out, that's a very, very unusual situation. I've got this data going back to like 1986 or something like that. And this just never happens. The only time that it happened was during what's called the Buffett blip, where silver went from $4 to almost $8. And it did this inversion just before that happened. The commercials went long, silver went up to $8, and then they went short again. So the price almost doubled. It was huge. But this is building a lot of energy, and it's been going on since April, or since March actually. So 9 months here that there's been this screwy stuff going on. But silver, the commercials have also gone net short. But you also see this big pullback in open interest. And you'll notice that pullback in open interest coincides with a entry point that happens just before the rise in price. And the same thing here. It's a good entry point before the rise in price. And also, like I said, the minimums in the net short position. So if you take these two things together, they're getting short. Open interest has shrunk. There is a really good entry point coming up. I'm not sure exactly when. So I've got, I've been buying, but I've got some extra cash set aside because I do think there's going to be one last dip, and then it's off to the races. Also, I wanted to tell everybody that this is a chart of the price of EOS, the EOS cryptocurrency. And I bought back in the 5s here, and I bought up in the 11s, and I bought in the 8s, and I bought in the 5s, and I just made a purchase in the 2s. I do think that EOS and Hashgraph have the greatest potential of all of the cryptocurrencies out there. Now, I am not a cryptocurrency expert. I know about gold, silver, the economy, monetary history. Cryptocurrencies are a new thing. They're a technical thing. There are 13-year-old kids that know more about this stuff than I do. So nothing that I say can be taken as a recommendation of what you should do. And when it comes to, people have been asking us, what do I do? How do I buy this? How do I get into it? What you need to do is go to somebody that is an expert. I am not an expert, so please don't look to me to tell you how to get into cryptocurrencies, what cryptocurrency wallets to buy, and how to invest. I consider this gambling money. This is the same currency that you would take to Las Vegas, expecting to be able to lose it all, but you could end up winning a huge jackpot. So this is highly, highly speculative. I know somebody that got into EOS at 50 cents down here and at $1, and then took this ride up to $22 and actually sold up in this area, and he sold enough of it in that area to cover all of his investments in cryptocurrencies. And before that, he had ridden one up and made some huge gains and sold that one and bought into EOS down here. So there are potentially huge gains to be made, and it's because of this volatility of going from 50 cents to $22 in less than a year. So this is just months worth of time. There's a guy out there named Chris Coney, and there's a few others. Chris Coney has something called Cryptoversity, and I think his website is called the YouTube videos are called the Cryptoverse. So you could Google Chris Coney and the Cryptoverse, and you'll come up with somebody that you could get an education from on this. I cannot provide it, and I'm just not going to put in the time to learn what I would need to learn about cryptocurrencies to actually be able to give you really informed information. I'm doing this as my gambling money. I'm doing this. This is, I might buy a few mining stocks also because I do believe that they are undervalued right now. But again, that's gambling money. The gold and silver I see as an absolute certainty because they're measured in U.S. dollars, and this is real money measured in a currency that is based on a system where you always have to borrow more into existence and promise to pay it back with interest. So there's the way the currency system is designed, it's a guarantee. Gold and silver come with a government/Federal Reserve guarantee. The guarantee is they will never stop printing currency. That's it for the report. I wish everybody peace, prosperity, and safety during what is about to happen in the economy. I think that there are some tough times ahead for the average investor. The buy and hold stock market investor is going to experience a lot of pain. But I think that precious metals investors are going to have a lot to celebrate about. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next time.